What's up YouTube, Sam Explains here, and I did a community poll and it seems like a lot of people wanted a tips and tricks video for progressing hard mode. Basically what I'm going to be doing is just explaining what you should be doing and in the order you should be doing it. I'm basically just going to try and give you guys all my knowledge as much as possible to make it a little bit easier to understand, because I know that if you haven't dumped like 500 hours into the game, it might be a little confusing or you might be getting stuck and all that good stuff. So I've done similar videos like this before. However, I'm just going to make another one since a lot of you guys apparently want to see more content like that. So I'm going to try and explain this in the simplest way I can. I might be repeating myself a little bit from past videos, but I'll try and add in some new information. So the first most important thing that you should be doing is deciding on what descendant you want to play. So that's like first order of operations, right? Like what do you want to play? Bunny is going to be a very good starting character because she can basically AoE clear mobs extremely quickly, and she's honestly not that bad at bossing once you have her built up. But assuming we are talking about ultimates, decide which one of these you want to go for. So if you want to go for ultimate Bunny, you need to have a game plan. So with ultimate Bunny, the gun I would recommend you go for is Thunder Cage. You're going to just keep that on the entirety of your playthrough with her. It is a really good gun. The reason for that is because Bunny is going to be a spellcaster, so on this character you want like a really light gun so you can run faster, therefore get more electric procs. Or if you want just like a bossing character, you could do like Glay. She's extremely good at bossing. Lepic is really good at bossing. Balbi is kind of both. She's extremely good at farming and she's really good at bossing. Once you have a good gun and you throw on supply moisture, it just nukes. So you need to have something in mind, like a goal of what you're trying to do, what you want to play. Ideally, once you get to the late game, you want to have like multiples of these unlocked. Like you want to have Bunny and Valby for farming and or bossing, and then like a Lepic or Glay for like just hardcore sending bosses, right? But I don't know where you guys are at in the game. It's impossible for me to know where the majority is at. Each one of you guys is going to be in different spots. So my best recommendation, if you are just straight out of hard mode, is first things first, you want to always max your Thunder Cage. And the reason for this is because a lot of the end game is going to be doing outposts, and to do outposts you have to have Sharon. That is non-negotiable. You have to have this character. You cannot do the end game without it. You are going to be farming a lot of outposts, and that is going to be your bread and butter for unlocking descendants and ultimate weapons. And or you could do hard bosses. There are some options that have hard bosses instead of outposts, but assuming that you are not that far into the game yet, most likely for beginners, the order is gonna be you want to go max your Thunder Cage or start building up your Thunder Cage as much as possible. Get Sharon, go start doing outposts, and that's basically going to be the gameplay loop for getting you better gear, right? So that's what you want to do first before anything, is the Thunder Cage build into Sharon. Here's my Thunder Cage build if you want to copy pasta it, but this is going to be really good for mobbing. It's okay at bossing, but obviously if you aren't playing Ultimate Bunny, you would want to use a different gun for this. If you're playing other descendants, if you are just spamming Ultimate Bunny, you can just keep the Thunder Cage build on, and or if you're playing Massacre Glay, Thunder Cage works there as well as the Python build. But I'm gonna try not to go too much into builds in this video because they can just vastly differ depending on what you're trying to do in the game, and it can just change like depending on what you're trying to do. So like for example here, this would be for mobbing because I have Sweeping Squad on, and then that when I'm bossing with it with Bunny, I'll switch to have aiming because it gives me more weak point damage. But basically you always want to try and have a goal in mind of what you're trying to do. So far where we're at is build up your Thunder Cage. You're going to use it at outposts, and it can get you through those early game bosses. As seen in my video, you can down the first 5 hard bosses if you build up the Thunder Cage. So that would be the first priority I would do. The second priority would be to get a better bossing gun if you're not planning to just spam Ultimate Bunny. So you would want something like Enduring Legacy. However, this is going to be a later game weapon, so you will need to be able to clear those outposts, which is why I say get this first, start working on this, and then you can go farm this after this is built up, because it's going to make it 10 times easier to clear those outposts. And if you did not want to get the Enduring Legacy because it's too hard to farm or whatnot, you could also go for something like Greg's, which is one of the top meta guns right now. It's extremely good and it's really easy to farm. You can farm this in normal, so you will want to max this gun out though. So if you're just looking for a really powerful gun that you can get in the early game, Greg's 100% will be able to carry you. it's an amazing gun and it definitely shouldn't be underestimated. However, if you are going to be using Greg's, keep in mind there is a gameplay option here, and what you would want to do is go to gameplay and come down here and click the change fire mode to on. What that's going to do is you're just going to be able to hold your trigger instead of having to constantly click it in that burst fire mode. So this is very underrated. They added this a while ago, so if you didn't know about that, definitely turn that on when you're using something like the Greg's. And then after you get a good gun, you can start investing into your Descendant. Now, if you're in the early game and you're just farming for like normal weapons like the Greg's or something, and you still haven't like fully invested in your Descendant, you would want to have something like this. So the part that's hard in hard mode is going to be that survivability. And in this game, HP is king. So you would want something like Battle of Stamina and increased HP. You can throw on increased defense if you want to. It'll be just some more survivability. However, keep in mind that increased defense, or defense in general rather, has diminishing returns. So if you focus on just purely stacking defense, you're not going to be as tanky as you could be by stacking HP. It's okay to throw on a little bit, but you don't want to stack this up to like 30, 40, 50k unless you're playing something like Ajax, or, you know, if you're playing Enzo, you could do like a shield build or, you know, whatever. But the majority of Descendants are going to be wanting to stack HP. And always make sure you level up these special mods, because what this does, so if I see up here in module capacity, if I take this off, it just dropped my capacity by 10. So these special mods here, it can also be these like Tonfa, Shock Punch, stuff like that, or the grappling mods. It gives you capacity when you equip it. So let's say you didn't have an energy activator in one of your Descendants, you're just starting out. So this is what it's gonna look like before you've done anything, before you've catalyst, before you have energy activated. This is what it's gonna look like, right? So which the first thing you want to do is throw this in here. Boom, we go from 50 to 60, right? This is without an energy activator. This is going to give you more module space to give you more survivability and or damage depending what you're going for. So ideally I would want to have something here like Battle of Stamina, increased HP, and we have 30 slots left, right? So if you wanted to, you could just throw on an increased defense. A good gun will be able to carry you through the content, so I would focus on building your Descendant after instead of building it before, because unless you're playing like a spellcaster, it's better to focus on your gun than your Descendant, because your Descendant really, while yes, you can boost it up in damage, the gun is going to be the majority of the damage while you're progressing the content until you're fully built on your Descendant. So the priority should be your gun. As we've seen in all of my videos, I can do it with 1 or 2 Descendant mods on, and a max gun can carry you through the first 5 hard bosses no problem if you're doing it in solo mode. So max your gun first and then start working on your Descendant. Or if you have enough catalysts built up, you can catalyst both of them at the same time, and that would be a little bit more optimal and save you some time, because then you're leveling both of them at once, right? But that does require some catalysts, which I'm gonna get to here in a second. So to do all of this, to progress at all, you are going to need to get these 2 items. I'm sure everybody knows about this by now, but just in case you don't, this is like #1 priority. This is how you are going to get stronger. This is how you are going to make your gun stronger, and you are going to need a lot of these. So farm this every single day as much as you can. You will get these crystallization catalyst blueprints while you're farming for other things. You can target farm them if you want, but you're gonna get enough. Once you start doing outposts and stuff like that, you will get some of these. It's just they're just passively gonna come in. So you want to make sure you're always having the crystallization catalyst going, because this is your time gate, right? Like if you're not doing this every single day, you're gonna get time gated if you run out of these, and then you're like, oh shit, I can't gain more power because I don't have any more crystallization catalysts. And then you're just kind of stuck there waiting for like 7.5 hours, right? You want to always be putting some into the research thing. And if you run out of match, you will need like so many of these to gain power. Make sure you're farming these. This cannot be underestimated at all. It's the same thing with energy activators. You're going to need these to max out your guns. Again, you'll get some of these when grinding for other things like weapon parts and or hard bosses, when you down hard bosses and opening those amorph materials, or even regular bosses. A lot of these come from pretty much like a lot of the amorph materials in the games and the outposts. So you are going to need these as soon as you get this and you have the mats for it. I would recommend doing a research time, because again, you're going to get time gated, and these take 30 hours. So you want to always have a good chunk of these waiting. I'm actually slacking on it right now, but the only reason I am is because I already have 5 of them and I've already energy activated. However, I play this game every day and I've put a lot of hours into the game, so like don't compare yourself to me because like, you know, obviously I'm creating content on the game as well as I'm just logging in every day and farming. So you might not be here yet to where you have a backlog of like crystallization catalysts and energy activators, but this is eventually where you want to be at. So you are going to need a lot of those, and then ideally you would want to max out a weapon, right? So, you know, like the Gregs, right? As I said, you can farm this in normal. Sure, it's not going to be the most fun thing in the world. It's probably going to be a little bit boring. You're going to have to keep doing outposts and then rinse and repeating, but you know, that's just the way it is if you do want to progress. Greg's is, as I said, it's really easy to get, so always make sure you're going for a gun. If you are having a hard time in hard mode, don't like target farm the hardest gun in the game to farm, right? You want to get one of the easier ones. You can go for like something like Enduring Legacy, but just keep in mind that it's going to be like a lot harder to farm. In the long run, sure, it's going to be like really good because it's one of the best guns in the game, right? But overall, Greg's is an extremely good pick, and you can get it in normal mode like fairly easily, and you do want to max this gun out, as I said, because the early copies of this aren't that great. Once you get a fully stacked up Greg's, it's going to just shred everything, so definitely make sure you're doing that. Another thing is going to be external components. As I said before, HP is king in this game. That is what you want to be going for. So you want to always look for double rolls like this, right? Like something with 2 max HP stacks, max HP. I have another max HP. This one has a little bit of defense on it. You can throw a little bit of defense on, right? Like it's not like I'm telling you not to build defense at all. It's okay to have a little bit, but the thing is that this has diminishing returns. So you get way more value from building HP than you do from just stacking defense and not building HP. It's night and day difference. So make sure you're focusing on that if you are having a hard time surviving. Even if you can throw on some like purple max HPs here, like that's totally fine. Ideally you would want these double rolls with the legendary versions. However, it's not going to be like extremely crucial until like later. So just even if you have like not the best stats or the best rolls or whatever, just like throw on something that's giving you survivability, right? Because if I look at this, the mods here, like it's a percent based, right? So if I like, let's take these off, see how my HP goes from all the way down to like 4,000, and that's just from my external components, right? And then when I go down here to, so we're going from 4,000 all the way to 17,000. So we literally quadrupled our HP just from throwing like a couple HP mods on, right? Like 2 HP mods on. So you don't want to underestimate that, and you will survive in hard mode. If you have these mods on and you have just like whatever external components giving you like max HP, and maybe if you want a little bit of defense, you'll be totally fine. You're not going to have a hard time. So we've established that the gun is going to be the majority of your damage unless you are going full-blown spellcaster, like one-shot build. You want to always have a good gun. We've established your survivability. The next thing you could focus on is like reactors and stuff like that. I personally don't have like the best reactors. It's something I've lacked in, and I've cleared all content in the game. I haven't farmed reactors at all. However, it is going to give you a big stat boost, so especially on your spells and stuff like that. So you do ideally want to, you know, be trying to target farm those, so it will definitely boost it up. It's just kind of a pain in the ass trying to get like the correct one. But if you were trying to target farm those, I don't know what the command is on console, but if you were to do something like target farming, you could open the map with G. This is on PC, by the way, and then you press F, and then you can target farm these, right? So let's say I wanted like a special rounds toxic tech reactor, right? I could click on that and it'll show me in the area where I can go to farm that reactor. And then ideally you would just keep spamming missions that give you that specific reactor, and you would want, like, depending on what build you're going for, assuming you're going for like a spell power build, you would want like spell critical damage and stuff like that. So it does take a while to learn how to build those things. However, I wouldn't say that this is like the end all be all and like necessity. As I said, I've cleared pretty much everything in the game, and my reactors are garbage. So I'm not saying they're bad. They're definitely good if you want to go farm them and do that. I'm just saying that as far as priority, I think it should go survivability, good guns, Descendant mods, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. And then reactor, I guess, would be the fourth one. In my opinion, that's how I would kind of give the breakdown on that. Other than that, a lot of the times what people will do, especially when they are new, or maybe they're not as far into the game yet, maybe they're stuck on like Executioner or Dead Bride, what they'll do is they'll come over here and they'll hit start public like intercept. If you want to progress and you're just not really that strong yet, this is not the correct thing to do. You are just making it more difficult on yourself. You want to queue up for solo. This is going to weaken the boss. It's going to put him in a weakened state, and you will be able to down them much easier. As long as you do have those survivability mods on, you are going to be completely okay. Keep in mind, if you are queuing in public lobbies, the bosses like get giga buffed because you have 4 people, right? So do keep that in mind. But if you do want to specifically just like farm the hard bosses or progress the hard bosses, the first 5 can be done solo. So, and a lot of the times you're going to need to down these bosses right here to farm the end game stuff. And then once you get to this point at Obstructor, Frostwalker, Molten Fortress, and Gluttony, you can no longer solo because these all have special mechanics that require 4 people. I guess technically you could solo it if you queued up in a party and then they all left, but I mean, nobody, you're not going to do that, right? Like, come on, let's be real. So, yeah, you want to make sure once you get to this point, you want to make sure you start paying attention to like resistances, and you want to make sure that your builds are like min-max, because these bosses can get a little bit harder, especially when you're soloing these bosses. The difficulty jump is going to be pretty massive, so make sure that if you are progressing to these like late end game bosses, you are going to be built up. You will need to be built up for those because the bosses are going to be scaled up since there's 4 people. So make sure you do that. Trying to think what else we can go for, or I can tell you guys. I mean, I don't have a script here. I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head. So I guess Kuiper and gold. So this is going to be also your bread and butter of getting stronger. You will have to farm this like crazy. There is no way around it. You're going to need a lot of currency to upgrade your mods, whether that be weapon or descendant mods. There are numerous farm spots. I don't want to go over them. If you're interested, you can just look up gold farms and Kuiper farms. However, something to keep in mind if you are trying to do Kuiper farms, Enzo is extremely good at this because basically he has these vault mats, and once you have Enzo equipped, you can take him to go unlock vaults, and he's going to give you a shit ton of Kuiper when you are opening those vaults, and overall he is just like a necessity. He's kind of along the same lines as Sharon. You need to have Enzo and Sharon unlocked if you're trying to progress hard mode, because they're going to be invaluable, especially when you're farming like Kuiper and stuff like that. This is what it's going to look like. So they're going to be called Ultra Precision Code Breakers for hard difficulty. So code breakers are going to be what you're going to find in hard mode. And then let me see if I have a normal one. Yeah, I do. So analyzers are going to be for the normal mode. So basically what you're going to do, think of these as like keys or match, right? That you're going to go farm vaults and unlock those vaults. And if you're on Enzo, he gives you extra stuff. So that's why you want him. He is definitely needed. You do not want to underestimate him. I believe if you have like the ultra precision or the ultra code analyzers, it's a lot of Kuiper. Like the hard mode one gives you like 75 to 80,000 Kuiper per one you open. That is a like ultra one, and then the other ones give you some decent amount. The other one gives you like 25k or something like that. But yeah, that's basically how you're gonna do Kuiper farms, and or you could do something like outpost farming, like the Echo Swamp outpost, or you could do the Fortress Outskirts mission over here. There's a lot of stuff you can do. This is the one I do a lot simply because it gives me the mats for Catalyst, it drops code breakers, and it also gives you like weapon proficiency, gold, and Kuiper. So this mission is actually the one that I do the most because I just love multi-farming and it kind of gives me everything. But if you were specifically trying to do code breaker farms or code analyzers, depending on what difficulty you're in, you would want to do the anticipated ambush point. This mission's extremely quick. You can get it done in like 30 seconds and it drops those code breakers as well. So definitely you want to be doing that. Once you get Sharon unlocked, by the way, just in case anybody doesn't know this yet, you can throw on maximize duration and skill extension, and this will let you hack the outpost really quickly. Or rather, not quickly, but you'll be able to not have to do 2 rotations, so you'll be able to stay in stealth longer. That way you have time to do all the outposts. So these 2 mods are like a necessity on Sharon. And also keep in mind that these transcendent modules, if you upgrade them, it lowers the capacity. So like right now mine's at 13. If I were to go upgrade this, it would lower the capacity needed. So see how this one's like 13, and then here's my ultimate bunny, right? So like it's all the way down to 3. I have this catalyst. It's not going to be 3 slots unless you catalyst list it, but you get the idea. Basically, once you max upgrade this, it lowers that cost of the Transcendent module. So that's also something to keep in mind. If you didn't upgrade this, it would be 6. So like right here, like you see with electric condense. So keep that in mind. That's also a way that if you do have a Transcendent module and you're just like, man, this is taking up so much of my capacity, you could like upgrade that and it'll lower it. But basically that's it, guys. I mean, it's really not as complicated as it seems. Like, is it a pain in the ass to get to the point that I am at right now? Like, absolutely it is. You're gonna have to like grind and do stuff that you don't want to do. However, once you get to this point, you're not gonna have any issues. But again, your priority should be, if you're at like the earliest of the earliest game, max the Thunder Cage, throw on survivability mods, throw on whatever external components that give you HP, and or you could put on a little bit of defense, and that's pretty much it. Like, literally just build up a gun. Like, I think the gun is just completely underestimated. People always make the mistake of building up like building a Descendant first, which isn't like terrible, but it's not going to be able to carry you through that hard content as far as like those hard bosses. If you're trying to progress, the gun is going to be just way better because you can use the gun on pretty much anyone, right? So you're going to have like a lot more options. You're not just going to be locking yourself into like one Descendant build and using all those catalysts on that Descendant comparatively to upgrading your gun first, and you can just use that gun on whoever the hell you want, right? So guns first, Descendant second, and that's pretty much it, guys. I honestly, there's no like secret formula here. It's just like, that's what you got to do to progress the hard content. You have to put the time in the game. As I said, if you don't want to spend like infinite hours farming for those late game weapons, you could try going for one of the easier weapons that you can unlock in normal mode, and that will be a lot easier for you to farm them because you're going to be able to just like one-shot everything if you are already in hard mode. The normal mode obviously is not going to be difficult, right? So you could choose to do one of those weapons that you can farm in normal. So again, my recommendation would be Greg's. The recoil on this gun can be really tricky to kind of get down, especially if you're on console. But overall, it's like a S tier gun. It's a really meta gun right now. So if you're just looking for a gun that can just absolutely slap, Greg's would be it. And it's really not that hard to get. If you wanted to see a build for Greg's, this is what I'm rocking. If you wanted to copy pasta or just have something to look at, keep in mind builds can change. People can come out with better builds. So if you do copy pasta, just keep that in mind. And then of course, you could also do something like the Secret Garden, which is what I'm going for now. This is going to be another one of the guns that are harder to farm though, but again, just look through the gun list. If you're having too hard of a time farming those late game guns with like the lower percent drop rates, just try and find a gun that's like higher percent drop rate that you can farm in normal. Max that out first after you max out your Thunder Cage, and then, you know, you can wait until later to tackle the hard end game content once you have at least a fully maxed out gun. But honestly, a fully maxed out Thunder Cage should be enough for you to be able to go farm whichever gun you want. So that's why I always say max the Thunder Cage first, because it's just so good at clearing outposts. It can get you through those bosses, like the hard bosses, without too much investment in your Descendant. I think it's overall just an extremely good starter gun, and you just want to max it out, like the unique ability. You'll just shred hard outposts. It'll make them easy, and you won't have too much to worry about. And then after that, you can move on to pretty much whatever gun you want to do. And that's it, guys. If you guys have any ideas, or maybe I didn't cover something that you wanted me to cover, let me know in the comments, because again, I can't read y'all's mind. I don't know where you guys are at in the game or what specifically you're struggling with. It's gonna differ from person to person, and you know, if there's anything you're confused about, I'd be happy to help you. Just let me know. I'm always here to help, and you know, just drop it in the comments. I'm usually pretty good about replying. So yeah, that's gonna be it, guys. Basically, TLDR, max a gun, max the Thunder Cage, and then go farm the hard content, and, you know, do the hard bosses in solo mode. Make sure you have some good external components, all that good stuff, and you'll be good. I mean, you won't struggle. Like, it's not going to be as hard as it seems. It's just you gotta like put in the time to go get those things, and it really shouldn't take that long, as I said, if you're going for like the easier stuff first and then going for the hard stuff later. I am Samix Plays. Appreciate you guys for watching. I know this might be kind of like a longer video, but I just wanted to cover everything and kind of give you like the order of operations and break it down to make hard mode like easier. If you have anything else you want me to cover, just let me know. I'll try and do my best, and I appreciate you all for watching. Thanks so much for all the support lately, and I appreciate all of you greatly. Y'all take care. I hope you have a good one, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.